Hey guys, Mika here, and for those of you who watch this regularly, you always know I'm extremely excited whenever I get to play a ko'olau and get to share it with you. Really love ko'olaus, and this one is quite special because it's pretty rare to come across um, a CS model or the contemporary series model, which is like the second from the highest, but pretty much the go-to for all what most people, including myself, look for when playing a ko'olau. Um, this one is a thin line or a slim line, or it's just a slightly thinner depth than the typical ko'olau. And you also can see from this angle, it has a side port on the side, which is really rare. It's not often that Noah Bonk, the luthier, puts side holes or the side port in this instrument. So to get kind of that two wild cards and one ko'olau, and then I didn't even discuss the elephant in the room yet, which is like, look how crazy this curly koa is. It's perfect in regards. Well, there's so many different types of perfect koa but for me, if you're just looking for a koa that's not too wild, it's not like fire koa where there's all these crazy, like there's the sap in the middle, the sapwood. There's not crazy fire curls and like all these different kind of black streak marks and all the things that make koa so diverse and unique. If someone out there really appreciates just really kind of more straightforward koa in terms of there's no black lines, there's no like kind of anything else going on, but just that perfect curl. I mean, this is, in my opinion, like a textbook definition of what curly koa. I mean, what curly koa can look like without like anything else other than just the kind of curliness, that nice book stack curly koa ness going on. Again, like none of the like the white sapwood, no really dark lines on it, or maybe it's like kind of koa again is like the whole spectrum. It can go in so many different directions. But for me, I have a really soft spot for when koa looks like this. Just really nice, perfectly book match on the back. Again, crazy sides like that, and then even just the front, just perfect piece of koa to me, in my opinion. Accented really nicely by a different color of curly koa. This is like a darker brown color, which accents more of that very orange kind of color that you get on the front and the back. But right here, you get a nice brown color, so you can really see the different accent of the color right here, and then even on the bottom. And then it's highlighted even more with the black and white purfling that runs on the sides by the bindings, as well on the front around the instrument itself. And you can ever so slightly see it around the rosette itself on the outside, along with that more brown color curly koa around the rosette of the instrument. Same color as the sides right here, or the side binding. Very common ebony bridge or Macassar ebony bridge fretboard, and as well as headstock, the iconic ko'olau symbol or logo on the top. And then I don't see these too often on ko'olaus. It is a thing, but usually you're gonna run into more like the regular standard Goto tuners or Waverly tuners. These are Goto tuners, but these are the stealth tuners, so you can see it has a very small footprint on the sides. This one has the bigger button, so you can grab it a little easier compared to the other really tiny ones that they have. So you can go ahead and tune your instrument very accurately and very well, as well as on this side. And of course, it's in the gun metallic or charcoal kind of color. So really nice. It matches the top of the headstock really well, and it matches the black ebony fretboard really well. So as you can see, you have the fret markers. Ko'olau does this. They have the double on the 7, double on the 12, and then your standard 5, 10, and 15, as well as having that abalone, the mother of pearl here on the sides as well, double dot on the 12th fret. Even on the heel of the instrument, you have a nice piece of curly koa right here. And then pretty standard run of the mill, you have your satin finish mahogany neck on the back. And then like with all CS models come with a radius fretboard here on the instrument, which I prefer. I think it does make a slight difference versus a flat fretboard. So if you have the option, I would say go for the radius if you can. And then the last thing to mention, other than like I already mentioned with the side port, this is really rare. So when you're playing the instrument, you can hear a smaller representation of, if you're sitting in front of the instrument, it sounds different being behind the instrument. So it's impossible to be playing the instrument, but also being playing in front of the instrument. So unless someone else plays it, you sit in front of it. But this allows you to hear what it would sound like if you sat in front of the instrument. And I also like to think of this side port as just another little hole for the sound to escape the body. I like to think of it as like one of those big blue water bottle jugs where, you know, the water dispenser, you have the big hole at the bottom. So if you take the cap off, all the water tries to rush out from the bottom. But if you poke the hole on the side, you have another source of the water coming out. So the water will come out faster of the water jug. Kind of the same kind of sentiment when you're strumming or picking, you're kind of forcing sound to go inside of the body. But because, you know, if this wasn't here and it was closed, then you only have this main circle or main hole to come out. Now you have another part of the instrument where the sound can bleed out of the instrument. So for my ears, it allows the instrument to just breathe a little more. It has more of an airier kind of texture. The sound kind of just spreads out more in the room. And again, another big advantage is you can hear that sound like right in here coming to your face. So to me, side ports are a wonderful thing to have on an instrument, and I love to see it, especially on the ko'olau. It's pretty rare to see side ports on this instrument. And then last but not least, this one has the pin bridge. So usually you have like tie bridge, or you have many different types of bridges where the strings are attached to the bridge. But this one is like you tie basically like a double square knot, or you tie a knot and then you push it through, and then you just push the beads down, and then it holds the strings in place. So looks really cool. And then you even have the mother of pearl on the actual buttons itself, or the pin bridge, the pins right here on the bottom. So yeah, this is a beautiful ko'olau, and just again more on the rare side with it being a thin body. With the sound, those of you who watch this again are familiar that ko'olau that I love to say, and ko'olaus are extremely consistent. I mean, all the ones that I play sound very, very similar to each other. The major differences, or the more kind of differences you'll hear is depending on the tone wood. So for this one, this is curly koa. So koa in my ears has more of that mid-range property, or mid-range tonal kind of sound. Mid-range to my ears is like when you have a really nice, sweet, warm, kind of fills the air, all the strings mesh, or all the strings that make sounds mesh really well together to make kind of one sound. Nothing really jumps out too much, but it doesn't sound boomy, or it doesn't have too much of a low end response. It just kind of sits in the middle. But with ko'olau, it has such a well-balanced sound. It can have nice clarity on the upper end. It can still have that nice sweet kind of warm resonance in the middle of the mid-range. And then also, especially when you tune it up with a low G like this, you can get a nice oomph, or a nice lower end. But ko'olaus don't get boomy. So that's what I really appreciate about these instruments. So for this one in particular, if I strum like a C chord, again, just really nice resonance, really nice warmth. I like that the A string, it punches through, but it doesn't have like a bite kind of sound. Like it doesn't shoot through the room. It doesn't like bam, like kind of slice through the air. It still has a very nice wow, like kind of rounded kind of sound, versus it's a more like really tight sound like that. It's more of a wow, like that kind of rounded sound. And then listen to the sustain. Beautiful. Beautiful. It doesn't have a bite to it. I mean, for those of you who might want a bite, maybe you can put, thinner gauge strings on here. But this string set, I want to say this is looks like the ahos, the ko'olau aho strings. But just really nice full body sound. It has a nice open sound too. So it's just really loud. But not loud just because it's loud, but like even tone-wise, it just sits really well in my ear if I'm just playing this F chord with the C note on the bottom. G7. It's like really loud, but such a nice tone to it. Again, has a nice rounded kind of tone. It's just so clean. If you want more of a warmer sound, because hey, this might, I want a slightly warmer sound. For me, I'm a classical player. I have classical technique, so I use a lot of my nails and it's filed down. But if you go ahead and pluck with your flesh like this on your thumb, you can hear how the sound gets even more rounded and warmer. Versus my nail. Versus my flesh. But yeah, so setup is pretty perfect for me. Nice low setup. The radius fretboard helps a lot. In my head, ko'olau has pretty much the standard run-of-the-mill neck in terms of the shape and the density or the thickness. There's instruments that have thinner necks than this, and there's instruments that have denser or chunkier necks than this. To me, this is kind of like the standard of how thick and how dense and the shape of it. So this for me is always like my kind of favorite neck, what I'm kind of used to. Again, it just depends on your preference on if you like chunky necks because you have more to hold, or you like thinner necks because it's a smaller pinch point to make the chords or the bar chords. It just really depends on your playing style. But if you're looking for a more standard neck, this ko'olau has that standard neck that for like I look for. Yeah, ko'olaus can do everything. And then you can hear it just coming through the side part like that. So let's go ahead and do a few sound samples illustrating some of the versatility of this instrument. So I'm going to go ahead and play something melodic on the slower side that we can kind of hear the instrument breathe and how everything kind of reacts with one another, or all the strings react with each other. So here we go. Let's keep it nice and simple. So as you can hear, it just has such a sweet, when you bring the melody out in fingerstyle, it's just such a nice, sweet tone. Like I was saying earlier, it doesn't jump out at you, it just has a nice rounded kind of sound on the A string. Or even on E string, C string. Oh, let me get into harmonics, check that out. How clean that is. Make some nice bell music with that. So absolutely clean harmonics here on this ko'olau. Now if I wanted to do something a little more aggressive or something faster paced, this instrument of course can handle the deed. So here we go. Here we go. Herbalta Jr., those famous Hawaiian licks on the ukulele. So as you can see, just so clean, so articulate, so precise. I mean, listen to that. It's a ko'olau. It's the best way to say it. It's a ko'olau. It just has a beautiful sound. So here's some strumming. Here's some, I don't know, maybe faster paced strumming. Can handle really fast aggressive strums, and if I want to go ahead and just be a little more melodic, or if I want to go ahead and be slower and accompany my voice, I'm not a singer, but if you are a singer and you just wanted to go, just put in the key of A. Can do it all. So if you don't have a ko'olau, it's a pretty nice one to add to your collection. Check it out.